Section C.6, exception of the minimum range duration. So in section B, we have talked about the different high probability variables within our TCT models. One of those variables being B.2, minimum range duration, which we have set to 1 day in duration. However, there are exceptions of this requirement. One of those exceptions being when we are trading our daily range, which may sound a bit contradicting because the daily range does not need to meet the 1 day in duration requirements, but let me explain. There are going to be live trading situations where the range that we are focusing on is literally the range and the price action that has been developing that specific day. So what you can see right here is I have tried to highlight the different sessions within our day with different colors, where purple is representing our Asia session, London is representing or blue is representing our London session, and orange is representing our New York, where I haven't drawn the entire New York session, just the opening and the beginning part of it. Now, Asia opens at 2 a.m. UTC plus 2, and your daily candle of TradingView opens and closes at midnight UTC plus 0, which is the standard setting. Therefore, when your Asia opens, your daily candle also opens. And there are going to be situations where the price action of that day has been creating a specific model. So right here, we can see that our daily candle opens and we can see the Asia price action slowly grinding down, okay? Building buy-side liquidity above. And then we have London opening, creating that second tap, coming back inside before slowly retracing again towards that third tap POI from a potential accumulation perspective, building even more buy-side liquidity above, continuing with that high probability return to zone. Where then during New York, we get that move down into that third tap and we can get a potential Model 2 accumulation schematic. Prior to our New York opening, when we look at the price action of this specific day, the entire focus of this day has been building buy-side liquidity within this accumulation schematic, where we have our Asia liquidity staying intact and we have our London liquidity staying intact, both pointing down, leaving buy-side liquidity above. So that day, up until then, the sole focus has been building the return to zone of our accumulation schematic. Whenever this is the case, where that specific day has just been focused on creating liquidity, with Asia and London both pointing in the same direction, and we can get a potential TCT accumulation model or distribution when we're focusing on distributions, it's very likely that Asia, or that New York, my apologies, that New York is going to reverse the price action of that day up until New York open. So if our Asia session is grinding down and our London session is grinding down, there's a high chance that New York is going to be putting in a reversal. And therefore, when we arrive in our pre-New York / New York open session and we create a third tap and we get the confirmation upon a bullish breaker structure of our Model 2 accumulation schematic, we can still take this trade despite the displacement from a time perspective between tab 1 and 3 does not meet the 1 day in duration requirements. If the price action of that day has a sole focus on building liquidity within our TCT model, and that day New York opens and creates the third tap, or pre-New York opens and creates the third tap, we can still take the trade despite it not meeting the 1 day in duration requirements, due to the common theory that New York loves to put in those reversals and reverses simply the price action within or around the opening of that specific day. Because obviously, if your Asia opens right there, and around Asia open slash, after hours, you create your range starting points up until New York, that's going to be around 15 hours in duration, and not your 24 hours representing 1 day. So when your daily candle opens and the sole focus of the price action up until New York has been to build a return to zone within our overall accumulative or distributive environment, New York loves to put in those reversals, and we can still take that without price meeting the requirements of B2 minimum range duration. Now, for clarification purposes, for the people that don't know, Asia, and these are all in UTC plus 2, is going to be from 2 in the morning till 6 in the morning, okay? London is going to be from 9 in the morning till 2:30 p.m. Pre-New York is going to be from 2:30 till New York OPA at 3:30. And then New York OPA, the AM session, is going to be from 15:30 till 8 p.m. And New York PM is going to be from 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. And then after hours is going to be from 10 till your Asia Open. Okay? And these are all UTC plus 2. And then what you can do is you can go to your indicators and you can type in FX market sessions. You're going to get that indicator right here, FX market sessions, and you're going to be putting the settings to what we have right here. Right here. You can pick your own GMT plus 2, but you can simply put GMT plus 2 and then these time zones, and that's going to be correct. And then you're going to have your London, and you're going to put in the correct time. London, New York AM, Tokyo is the same as Asia, and then New York PM. And then very important, you're going to click off this box right here. Okay, click off this box and put bars to candles. What that is going to do is then when you have your live price action in here and you click on the session indicator and you go to a lower time frame, when you click on this, okay, just click it once, you will see your candles becoming different colors representing the price action in that specific session. Now, obviously, it's the weekend now, but right here, you can see that you have your Asia price action in here, and then in between Asia and London is that gap, and then you have London in blue, and then you have pre-New York right there, and then you have New York OPA right there, and you have New York PM right there, and then you have the after hours right here, and then you have, again, Asia. So this is going to be representing the price action within a session in a very clear way. Now, if you click on the chart again, it's going to disappear. You just see a light glow, a very light glow of colors. If you want to see it, you just click it once again, and you see it, and then you click on the chart, it disappears. So if you want to quickly check, okay, what has this day been doing? Right here, we can see, oh, we have Asia, and then we have London grinding down, New York grabbed the Asia, almost grabbed the Asia low, reverse back up. Now it becomes very clear. This was Saturday, so it doesn't really count on Saturday, okay? It only counts for weekdays because that's when the actual institutions are trading. But session indicator, FX market sessions from Boitoki, and then you have these settings right there with the time zones given to you right here. And then you can get to work from the daily range perspective. So we're going to be diving in some examples later, and it will all become even more clear. The other exception is something that you should already be aware of because I have named it and stated in the past, and that's when we're trading TCT creating TCT. Where if you get that accumulation schematic that creates the third tap of the distribution, potentially at this moment in time, obviously, we're not aware of the futuristic price action, then these ranges can also be smaller in duration. Mind you, you still need to meet all the other high probability variables, and I also want you to understand that technically you're trading against overall context because the higher time frame overrules the lower time frame, and the higher time frame is showcasing distributive price behavior. So we are only trading the lower time frame accumulation that could potentially create the higher time frame third tap if there is no room of error within this accumulation. If there is a slight room of error with, a third tap POY that's not clear, a break of structure that's sketchy, a return to zone that's not high quality, don't force the trade. It's a bonus. If we get it, we can take the long into a short. If we don't, we simply wait for our short to get validated and confirmed, and then we take that. So we're only taking this if it meets all the high probability variables besides the minimum range duration. Okay, so we're going to dive into some live trading examples and it will all be more clear.